Hey everybody, welcome to 30 Ways to Happy Days. I'm Milani Yvonne with Truly Great Life, and we are on way number 12. And before I jump into it, just want to remind you, if you haven't already listened to ways number 1 and 2, please go back and check them out. They are kind of foundational to all of the ways I'm sharing here. So way number 12 is the character strength of love of learning. You may recall, if you've heard some of the earlier ones, that these character strengths are like muscles that every human being in the world has, in all cultures, in all communities, in all countries. We've got these 24 character strengths that we may not be aware of, but we have them. They're just in there, kind of like some muscles that we have, but we may not use. So the opportunity here is, once we're aware of them, we get to start using them. We get to ask, how can I use it? So with this one, love of learning, you get to start thinking, do I have that muscle? Well, yes, I have that muscle, but do I use it? Am I someone who loves learning, who really, that's definitely one of my go-tos. If you were to take that away from me, I'd be like, that's not me. I need that. That's part of who I am. Okay. So what is love of learning? Let's get into the definition here a little bit, okay? So the love of learning strength is you like learning new information. You like mastering or getting mastery over new information. You love learning new things. You like learning how to do things. You also seek out opportunities to expand your knowledge about something. And you like to do the deep dive, right? You want to go deep into a subject, right? This is one way to explain love of learning. And if in case you didn't already guess, this is one of my upper middle top strengths for sure. I love to learn about a lot of things. And I'm now flipping it where I'm loving teaching this stuff so that hopefully this helps you have a happier day or week or month. So what is it that you, even if you're like, oh my God, I hated school, or if you're a student now, I hate school, but I have to do it, or, you're in a training program, or, whatever it is, if you don't think of yourself as like a good student or someone who likes school, I'm willing to bet that there is something in your life that you were motivated and curious about, that you did exercise this muscle of love of learning, right? Where you were just so into it that you learned all the nuances and you did the research. And especially now with technology, it's so easy to do research on whatever it is that interests you, right? So forget about how you may have been as a student. If you were, if studying was your thing, if school was your thing, then I'm sure you can think about a lot of different things. Maybe what you focused on in high school, or if you went to college, what you majored on in college, or if you went to a trade school, like, where you went deep into that subject. So right now, think about a positive, association you have with that kind of deep learning, okay? So maybe it's something like, I'm just trying to think, a video game. Okay, I don't play video games, but my son does. And certain things, he just, the amount, or like cards and whatever it is. So what is it that you get so interested in, that you know all the details and all the specifics, and you read about it and you learn about it, and you just have this like wealth of knowledge, whether or not it's for school or for play or for pleasure or a hobby, right? So where are you gravitating towards going deep? And I would argue that you're using that muscle of love of learning, even if school wasn't your thing, okay? And if school was your thing, like what topics were really interesting to you that you voluntarily, willingly wanted to seek out more, or learn more, or read more about it, or watch movies about it, or videos, online, or so this is really a fabulous, like all of them, but this is really just a fabulous way to have a happy day, because something about this love of learning strength, when we're using it, it's because we're, hopefully motivated to learn about what we're going deep in, or what we're, systematically building on our knowledge, okay? So it's not just like curiosity, which we are going to get into in a future video. Hint, hint. But it's more than that, because it's like amassing the knowledge, it's learning it, it's progressing in your ability to do whatever it is you're learning, right? So when everything is going to hell, right? If you're having a crappy day, what is something that you can turn to that will use your muscle of love of learning, right? Is there something that gives you joy, not because necessarily it's towards a degree or a diploma or whatever you might be doing, some training you have to do for work, but something that gives you joy that you naturally are like, I want to know more about that, okay? And then can you make time for yourself to go do it? 5 minutes even, And what could be helpful is if maybe you make a list. So whether that's a written out list or a list on your phone or a sticky note on your mirror, whatever it is, of like things that you want to learn more about and you just don't have the time or whatever it is. But maybe if you keep that list, like as a bullet list, okay, of things you want to learn more about, okay? And then you can take a break when you're having a tough time, take a break, choose one of those bucket list items or bullet list items, and the world is your oyster. If you're watching this or listening to this, it's because you have internet. So use that internet for good, something that's going to fill you up a little bit, and use that love of learning to find something out about that topic, okay? It can be a great break. One of the things that we get to do when we take responsibility for trying to get ourselves to either have more perspective or get through whatever obstacle is in our way to achieve whatever our goal is, like we get to choose, these different strengths that I'm sharing here, pick it from your pocket, right? Take it out and be like, okay, how can I use this right now? So love of learning. What do you want to learn about? All right. So this is really, I'm talking about it in like let's say a stress management or like having perspective in your day, or again, a happy day, but it's also a really important muscle to let, if you work with kids or you have kids or you're mentoring someone or even like a friend, right? You can share with them that they have this muscle love of learning, especially when we hit that wall and we're stuck. I'm never going to figure it out. I can't figure out. So, we talked earlier about perseverance, and one of the ways you can persevere through that challenge is to bring along your strength of love of learning, right? What can I learn about myself in this situation? What do I need to learn? What do I get to learn about this challenge, this topic, so that I can muddle through or get through or figure out, okay? So this opens us up to the reality that things are not going to go perfectly. Okay, think about a situation you're in right now where maybe you're disappointed, or it's more challenging than you anticipated, or things are coming up that you didn't expect, whatever it is, okay, whatever your situation is, and you are committed to that end goal. You're committed to seeing it through. How can you use love of learning in your situation? Okay, how can you think about where you'll be when you get to that end point, and how much more equipped are you going to be to deal with the unknown, to deal with challenges, if you know that you are capable of learning, of growing, of getting new information and incorporating it into what you may already know, to have a different perspective on what it is that you're doing, because you are a capable human being who can learn. Wherever you are at, right? Wherever you are at, you have learned how to do something before. Whether it's physical or mental or emotional or spiritual or psychological, whatever it is, you are a product of the learning you have already done at whatever stage of life you're in. So you've had success in using learning, whether or not you loved it. That's, for you to think about with those situations. But, think about where you do like to go deep, okay? Think about where you like getting new information. So this can be a way to put a smile on your face, or kind of help you get through that difficulty, because as long as we're alive, we get to learn if we're open to it, right? As long as we wake up, we can be open to learning something new. We don't know what the day is going to bring. We don't know how the day is going to end up, but we can bring a love of life and a love of learning about our life, about how we feel about things, right? Everything can be information. We are not stuck. We are not finite. We are not limited 100%. There may be limitations in certain ways. There may be certain obstacles that we can't get through. Okay, everyone's got whatever their situation is. But on a fundamental level, we are not all-knowing beings. If you agree with that, then we can leave room for the possibility that there are ways to figure things out that maybe we hadn't thought about. And when we bring this strength of love of learning and look at it, I like to gamify it, right? For me personally, I like to look at it as a game. I like to bring it some lightness into it. When things get too serious or heavy, it's hard for me to get out. That's me personally. I'm not as serious a person as other people I know, okay? So, what is true for you in how you like to tackle a problem? Do you want to bring a lightheartedness to it? Do you take it very seriously? And it's all good. I mean, know who you are. And then how do you leave space to learn something new about yourself? And it's not to say be 180 degrees from who you really are and what works for you, but how can you leave space open to learn something new about yourself, about the situation, about the goal, about the people you work with, about, your school? Where is there, the ability to be curious and to learn and to know that you can follow a certain path or a certain process to gather information, okay, in order to figure out what the heck to do next in whatever your situation is. We have the blessing and the curse of information overload, right? Information is available. How you discern what information is relevant to whatever you're working on is important. How you know what is a distraction versus something that's going to be helpful for you is important. When it comes to the future, we are dealing with massive unknowns, right? How can you use love of learning, right, to try and put yourself in a headspace of I will figure it out? And how do you deal with failure? And how do you deal with screw-ups? And how do you deal with messing up? Okay? How can you use love of learning as part of your toolkit for when you make a mistake or when you don't succeed at what you aimed for? Because if there's one thing, we can probably count on, it's that things are going to go wrong somehow, some way, and we might mess up and we may not hit the mark. I'm not saying to think negatively. I'm just saying, we have to be open, or we get to be open to that possibility that it may not work out. Yes, we want to focus on the good and we want to aim for what we want, but can you stand up when you get knocked down, right? Can you use love of learning? Can you see that can you look at the setbacks as information and not sentences, right? Can you look at the feedback of a failure or a misstep or a mistake as information, obviously within the context of whatever your situation is, for you to know whether, you can look at it as a mistake, or if it's something with more severe consequences, that's for you to to figure out and to know, but I'm just talking in a general sense. When we get feedback from the world or from another human being that we're in a relationship in, or someone we work with, or a work situation, can we take it and use that love of learning to make us stronger and more confident in our ability to be resilient, that mistakes are not character flaws in us? A mistake doesn't necessarily mean like you're a bad person or you're a failure. Can you separate the event or the behavior from the person, okay? So obviously I'm talking about love of learning on like a more, personal level of like how you look at yourself. Can you look at your life as an opportunity to learn about yourself in addition to about others, in addition to about the topic? Okay, so again, I'm kind of in several places here, but I'm hoping this is helpful because I think when we tap into either the topics we're really interested in, or if you turn it to self, like love of learning about yourself, not in a narcissistic way, but kind of being more self-aware of what happened here and what role was played, and what does this mean in your reaction, and how can you maybe adjust things moving forward to increase the likelihood of getting the results that you want, and whatever it is. This is an exciting one. Now, as someone who has love of learning in spades, with all of these, there's a chance of like overusing them, right? Going a little too far. So, or not using them enough. But I just want to share here that one of the things I believe is we are meant to create and not just consume, okay? I am guilty of going down a lot of rabbit holes for a very long time because I just love to learn. I love to learn about a lot of different things. But, does it keep you stuck in that consumption mode of learning? At what point do you feel it's time for you to pay it forward? Or at what point do you feel it's time for you to share that with someone else? At what point do you feel this is all locked inside of me, or this is something that it's not benefiting anyone outside of myself? So, this ties to, meaning, right? Which is where we feel connected to something outside of ourselves. So how can you use what you love to learn about, right? Those things that get you excited, those things that you're passionate about, those things you're curious about, that you are willing to and wanting to go down that road of really researching or really learning and adding to your knowledge, okay? And incorporating that in your life. What thing there do you want to share? Like, what do you want to share with someone else? Okay, so something to think about. And then I'll just wrap up with two things that I have recently been learning. Actually, one not so recent. So I learned how to drive stick shift 15 years ago. Super, super fun. I was really motivated because I thought it'd be super cool to learn how to drive, manual. And for those of you who drive manual, maybe you know the excitement I'm referring to, where it's a fun way to drive a car. However, did I fail a million times? You bet I did. Did I stall out? 100%. But you learn, you're motivated. I was definitely using my love of learning, because what's the alternative? To say, no, I don't need it. All cars are automatic. I don't want to, if you don't value it, that's fine. But if you're curious about it and you do want to learn it, I was able as an adult to follow the process and learn how to drive a stick shift car. So that's just one example. The other example I want to share is more recent, which is I just a month and a half ago started learning how to play piano. I took classes as a kid because my parents made me, didn't stick, wasn't interested, but there's an app out there that it has just brought so much joy. I was motivated to learn piano. Now we have the technology that makes it even easier and more affordable to learn, and it is super fun. It is a systematic building of knowledge, right? Using this love of learning, I am now learning a little bit about how to read music and how to play the music, and I get feedback, and it's gamified, and it's super fun. So no matter what the day is like, I can take 10-minute break and do something that expands my sense of mastery over a topic, right? If I'm practicing this song, and I can point to that. So what is something that you can learn in something that you're interested in, and something that you're passionate about, and something that you're curious about, that you could take 5 to 10 minutes to learn more about? Maybe there's a documentary series that is about a topic you're really curious about. So where we're able to learn, if you value the learning, if you think you're I am who I am and there's nothing else to learn here and there's no growth and whatever, then that's totally fine if that works for you. If you're someone who who feels like there aren't enough hours in the day or years in the life to learn everything there is to learn, you probably have love of learning as a higher character strength. So I hope this was helpful, and thank you for joining me, and I'll see you next time for way number 13. Take care.